Hello one and all and welcome along to the Euro Fantasy League podcast, back for 2019. I'm Jamie McLean, joined as always by David Fennick. Hello Dave.
Alright Jamie, how are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, not bad at all. How are you?
Good.
Nice one. Well, let's get cracking, we've got plenty to get through, so let's get on with the show. Yes, welcome along, as I say, to the Euro Fantasy League podcast. So, Dave, this is the first episode we've done of 2019. Question for you, when is it you stop asking people about their new year? Because we're getting on to the end of January now.
Yeah, I've wondered that. So, I think I've stopped saying it now. Because when you see people now, I think I just say, how you doing? Back to the normal, like what you'd say throughout the year. I don't think I say Happy New Year anymore.
No, I would agree with that, because, I mean, you've got to draw a line somewhere, haven't you? Because if there's someone you haven't seen since
October, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. If there's people you're seeing for the first time in, like, the summer or maybe the start of the new football season, and you cannot say Happy New Year to them in August, can you?
No,
you'd be more really early.
I'm saying it now.
Yeah, all right, no problem. Well, I'll not ask whether you had a good New Year then, Dave, if that's the way we stand on that. That's fine. So, let's get cracking. Welcome along, as I say. This is the Euro Fantasy League podcast in association with EuroFantasyLeague.com. We're here on a monthly basis, bringing you all the latest on the Premier League, La Liga and Serie A. And if you have a little listen, we can be found on all sorts of platforms: iTunes, Acast, Google Play, Podcast Addict, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, YouTube. I could go on, Dave, but I'm running out of breath already.
Yeah.
Right, so let's. Where would you like to start off today?
I think you did run out of breath there,
I did. I was trying to cover it up. So yeah, thanks for pulling the curtain back a little bit there. Yeah, no nice problem. One. Yeah. So where should we start off? Should we start off with the latest in the Premier League, Dave?
Wherever you want, my friend.
All right, we'll start off in the Premier League then, because had a couple of really good games in the Premier League at the weekend, didn't we? We had Liverpool beating Crystal Palace 4-3, Wolves beating Leicester 4-3. I mean, there's some really high-scoring games.
Around.
Yeah, plenty of goals. I always like a match of the day on a Saturday night when there's been a load of goals scored.
Yep, True. Well, Crystal Palace, I thought, were a bit unlucky. Liverpool, I think Speroni came in for his first game for a long, long time and didn't cover himself in much glory,
No.
One howl of an error. But, Crystal Palace give it a good go, and I think unlucky to come away with not at least a point.
It is. I mean, going into the game, being a team where Crystal Palace are against title challengers in Liverpool, you'd think they would snap your hand off for a 4-3. They'd think at least we got close, but that was unlucky, isn't it? By the time it actually gets to that point, you're going to feel like you've maybe dropped the point that you would have got for the draw, wouldn't you, rather than just losing by a narrow margin.
I don't think Roy Hodgson would have ever said, I'd be happy with the 4-3 because it's 0 points at the end of the day, isn't it?
Well, but, I suppose.
I think Palace could have got a point.
Yeah. No, I was more just thinking at least pushing close, because, I mean, a lot of teams when they go to Anfield or a similar, Old Trafford, the Etihad, pushing the hosts close is always going to be a good sign.
More than close, because Mane didn't score at the 90th minute after they had James Milner sent off.
Yeah, I know, James Milner getting sent off, showing a bit of a fiery side.
Yep, and the other 4-3, Wolves-Leicester. I mean, Leicester had equalised to make it 3-3 through Wes Morgan in the 8th and 7th minute.
Yeah.
And then Jota, 90th minute, gets the goal for Wolves.
Yeah, no, that's right, and that completed his hat-trick as well. That's always nice to see.
90th minute goals, because Tottenham won in the 90th minute at Fulham yesterday.
They did, I think it was the 93rd minute, yeah.
Yeah, Harry Winks getting the goal, so that was a chance for Fulham to get some much-needed points at the bottom.
Yeah, but, they're looking a little bit desperate at the minute, Fulham, aren't they? The things not really going their way right now.
No, not at all.
And of course, managerless Huddersfield Town losing 3-0.
They're gone.
So I mean, after David Wagner obviously leaving the club by mutual consent, things were already looking a little bit troubled there, weren't they, obviously, hence that kick-started his departure. And caretaker manager Mark Hudson, you've got to wonder whether Huddersfield could have expected much better, though, against the team of Man City's calibre, the way things have been going, don't you?
Yeah, mate, it was comfortable for Man City, but I think Huddersfield and Fulham are gone, and I think well, Cardiff are looking very dodgy as well, you know. I know Cardiff are trying to splash a bit of cash around, but them three at the bottom, I wouldn't be surprised if they were the three that go down at the end of the season. There's a lot of football to be played, but...
there is, but I mean,
three at the bottom.
Newcastle, of course, beating Cardiff 3-0 at the weekend. That was a big relegation 6-pointer, really, to coin the old cliche, wasn't it? Because, I mean, Newcastle...
And I heard Newcastle weren't great, but Cardiff were absolutely abysmal.
Yeah, I know. It's they've shown signs. They come up with the odd good performance here and there, but you just think they're really struggling to get any momentum behind them. Whereas Newcastle, yes, they're not having a great season, far from it. They're only 2 points ahead of Cardiff now after that win. But you just feel like there's maybe a little bit more about them, and you think they probably should be okay come the end of the season.
Yeah, I don't think they'll go down, even though the next two fixtures aren't the best. Man City at home, Tottenham away.
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky few weeks. I was talking actually to a Newcastle fan earlier on, and he was saying Rafa Benitez has probably stayed longer than anyone thought he would already. Doesn't think he's going to be there by this time next season. He thinks if he's there by the end of the season, he said he'd be surprised. So, yeah, Newcastle just moving out of the bottom three there with that win against Cardiff. So, yes, like I say, some pretty nice results. Bournemouth getting that 2-0 win against West Ham as well. That's a good win. Manchester United scraping past Brighton. Man United really struggle with Brighton a lot of the time, don't they?
Yeah, but it's another win, isn't it? Is that 8 on the top for Ole Gunnar?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a record, isn't it? It's got to be now. First 8 games in charge.
So what do you do in this situation now then? Do you give him the job full time, or do you bring somebody else in the summer?
Well, I think that's the thing. He's there until the summer, isn't he? See how things go. See how things finish.
He's still contracted to his Norwegian.
Exactly. It's not that simple. Even if Man United decide they want to appoint him full time, Molde in Norway could just say no, maybe next year, but not yet. In which case, United are back to square one.
If Man United come calling and they want him, he'll end up there. It'll just be a bit of a compensation package to his team in Norway.
I think that's probably the way it'll end up having to go if they decide to go that way. But then again, like I say, you need to give it till the end of the season, because for all we know, United could now go on like a 10-match losing streak. You know, you just don't know.
But like that. I just wonder, could it be that Ole Gunnar's in charge doing all the coaching, and they bring somebody to work alongside him, sort of in an Alex Ferguson role, to sort transfers out in major dealings?
Yeah, could be. Quite possibly, yeah. Because, I mean, bear in mind, Solskjaer, though, he's had success everywhere he's managed, apart from Cardiff. That was a bit of a disaster, his spell at Cardiff. But having managed, like, Molde, this is his second spell there, and he's just delivered plenty of league titles there. I haven't got the number to hand, but I would think 3 or 4, possibly 2 or 3 maybe. And yeah, I think he could. I know we've said before, that might be a bit of a dodgy appointment, but he's a club legend there, isn't he? And the players clearly enjoy playing for him. Paul Pogba has played under him before when he was in the youth ranks at Man United. And it just seems like he can get the best out of the players, and they seem to be enjoying their football a lot more than they have done for a long time.
Yeah, I think they're playing with freedom now. But what I was saying before, see, you get a lot of managers or whatever who love the coaching side of it, but don't like to get involved with the other side of it. You know, they don't find that very appealing. You know, so it'd be interesting to see if Ole Gunnar brings somebody else in, if he gets the Man United job to sort money stuff out and players and transfers. But, we'll have to watch that one. Yeah, so we'll see. Well, I think that just about covers all the Premier League. We'll quickly go through the table. So, at the time of recording, Liverpool are 4 points clear at the top. 60 points, 19 wins from 23 games. That's a cracking start to the season for them. Manchester City trailing in second, but on a 4-game winning run at the moment. They're on 56. And Tottenham, 51. So, 9 points behind league leaders Liverpool, but you know, they're looking good, certainly for the top 5. They'd be disappointed to miss out on that. They're 7 points clear of 6th place United. Yeah, I think it is, definitely, especially with Arsenal's win over Chelsea at the weekend as well. We never mentioned that. Cracking win, that, yeah. Arsenal look like a different team under Unai Emery. Yeah, I still think the transition, mind, because they hadn't looked so good the week before or whatever.
Yeah.
But I just think they are in transition, but I do like the way he plays his football, but they played very well yesterday against Chelsea.
Yeah, it was a deserved win, wasn't it? They didn't look as though they just nicked
totally.
it. So, yeah, and there we go. But Manchester United in 6th place, as we said, they're the form team at the moment. Several wins back-to-back. And down at the bottom end, Huddersfield are bottom. Fulham and Cardiff make up the other 2 teams in the bottom 3, with Newcastle, Burnley and Southampton and Crystal Palace just within a game's worth of points away from it. So there's still plenty of teams in the mix, but you would have to say what you said before, basically. Cardiff, Fulham and Huddersfield are probably looking like it's going to be a long season for them.
Definitely.
Right, so we've done the Premier League, so shall we have a look at what's been going on in La Liga this past weekend?
We can do.
Okay, so
what have you got for us?
Well, Real Madrid obviously picking up another 3 points there. They got the 2-0 win at home against Sevilla, which is a big one really, because it allows them to pull away 3 points clear of Sevilla now. That was 3rd against 4th. Huesca still struggling really, really badly. They've only got 2 wins from 20 games. They lost 3-0 at home to Atletico Madrid, and Celta Vigo losing 2-1 at home to Valencia, who've really started picking up now. They're up to 9th.
Yeah, they had a great season last season, but they've struggled and were really struggling for a long. But as you say, they are picking up.
Yeah, they were almost looking like relegation fodder an episode or 2 ago, Dave, weren't they? But started climbing up the table now, heading in the right direction.
Yeah, and I think the second half of the season, you'll just see them moving on up, They're not going to finish as high as last season, but they'll be well clear of relegation.
Make good moves. Yeah, make good moves to get a bit of parity back as well. So,
and what about Messi breaking another record?
Yes, please tell us about this. Which record did he get? I know it was the 92nd minute he scored that.
Yeah, Barcelona won 3-1 against Leganes on Sunday, who actually scored through Martin Braithwaite.
Martin Braithwaite, on loan from Middlesbrough. Yeah. He's only on loan from Messi, there.
Yeah, he is. Messi now has more goals coming off the bench than any other player this century.
That's excellent. Really? What, even more than the aforementioned Mr. Solskjaer?
Yep.
That's incredible. Another record. I mean, Messi's just going to have his name all over all of them, isn't he, really, by the time he retires?
And more importantly, they're now Barcelona 5 points clear of Atletico Madrid.
Yes, I know. I was going to get onto the table there a little bit more. I'll quickly run through the other results from Sunday. So Rayo Vallecano and Real Sociedad, a 2-2 draw. Levante beating Real Valladolid.
I was going to tell, sorry, just to jump in there, Jamie, that's the Rayo Vallecano. Mm-hmm. Now, they threw away a two-goal lead against Real Sociedad, and if they'd seen that game through, it would have took them out of the bottom 3.
Yes, it would have done, because they're only a point adrift of Celta Vigo, as we say, who lost to Valencia. Yeah, that was a good lead to have as well, because, I mean, there's a big difference, really, between Vallecano and Sociedad in the table. Sociedad 8th, and Vallecano, as you say, in the bottom 3, so be a little bit gutted to only draw that one.
Yeah, especially after being 2 up.
Yeah, definitely. So, yes, and then we've got Levante beating Real Valladolid 2-0. So that lifts Levante now in 10th with Valladolid in 15th. Villarreal getting a 1-1 draw with Athletic Bilbao. And, Real Betis winning possibly the game of the weekend in La Liga 3-2 at home against Girona.
With a penalty in the 4th minute of stoppage time.
Do you know, it always looks really dodgy when that happens, doesn't it?
Yeah, and they came from behind as well.
Yeah.
Girona were in the lead. Yes,
that's right. Yeah, they were. But that means Betis just outside of the top 6 now. They're 2 points behind Getafe. After 20 games. So the only teams not on 20 games, Espanyol and Eibar, who of course are yet to play at the time of recording. So there we go. That's how things are shaping up in La Liga. And we'll just have a quick look at Serie A now, shall we? And then we'll head off and have a quick break and come back and have a bit chat about what else is going on. So, Serie A this past weekend. Cracking win for Atalanta on Sunday. 5-0.
That is comprehensive, isn't it?
It certainly is, at Frosinone. I thought I'd pronounce it this time rather than giving you the opportunity.
Yeah. I always struggle with that one. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. You put plenty of effort into it, to be fair. On Saturday, Inter Milan, goalless draw with Sassuolo. That was a bit of a surprise, that one.
I was going to talk about this game, actually, because it was a bit of a strange game. There'd been, in a previous game at the San Siro, there'd been racist abuse of a player. So this game was played behind closed doors.
Yeah.
Okay? But what they did, they gave 11,000 tickets to school children.
Right.
So it was played behind closed doors, but they thought, well, we'll give 11,000 tickets away to local school children. Obviously, they're not going to cause any trouble. But the school children didn't see much of a game, 0-0 draw. So I bet the Mexican wave was kicking off inside probably the first half, which always happens when people are bored at sporting events.
Well, I was going to say they'll probably be thinking, oh no, let's go off and watch netball or something like that.
Yeah,
rather than the football.
There you go.
Well, there you go indeed. Elsewhere on Saturday, Udinese losing at home to Parma 2-1 and Roma beating Torino 3-2. That would have been a good game to see, the Roma-Torino game. That gets
definitely
Roma
a good
to
game.
fourth.
Fiorentina as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Just getting to that one there. That was on the Sunday, of course.
3-3 draw with Sampdoria.
Yeah, I mean, Fiorentina-Sampdoria is just a game. Anyone who enjoyed Serie A in the 1990s, that's like a dream match in a way, isn't it? Because you had like the Batistutas and stuff like that. So yeah, Fiorentina 3-3 with Sampdoria. Spal getting a 1-1 draw with Bologna as well.
Was it 1-1 draw, was it?
It was a 1-1 draw, yeah. So Bologna remain in the bottom three, but Spal 4 points clear. So there is a bit of a cushion there, but obviously it's a dangerous one, isn't it? Because you've only got to make one misstep, and that can be all but gone.
Yeah, I think Spal, it'll go like last season, towards the end of the season before they're totally safe,
Yeah, I think it's going to be another chase down to the wire there. And Cagliari getting a 2-2 draw with Empoli as well. And Napoli beating Lazio 2-1. That was all on Sunday. So having a quick look at the table then, Juventus still top of the table despite the hiccup last weekend, not weekend just gone, the one before, where they got a draw. So they're on 53 points, Napoli on 47, Inter Milan and Roma rounding off the top four with 40 points and 33 respectively. And down the bottom, Chievo still with just a single win, 8 points they're on. But that single win was their last league outing, again at the time of recording, at the end of December. They got that 1-0 win against Frosinone, so that's closed the gap a little bit, but they're yet to play this year, obviously after the winter break. So they're bottom of there. Frosinone in 19th, they're on 10 points. Bologna in 18th on 14, and in 17th you've got Empoli on 17 points, fittingly. So there we go, and then Spal just above them. Spal and Udinese, both on 18. Surprising to see Udinese on 18, mind. They've struggled a bit as well, haven't they?
Yeah. Things aren't good. I think they will survive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I would think so. 4 points clear at the moment, like I say. So there we go. That's a roundup of all the latest weekend's action in the Premier League, La Liga and Serie A. So we're going to pop off, have a quick break, and when we come back, we've got something to talk about that links the Premier League and Serie A, Dave. So we'll be right back. And welcome back to the Euro Fantasy League podcast. So, Dave, what we're going to talk about in the general chit-chat here, I want to have a little talk about Aaron Ramsey, if that's okay with you. Arsenal.
No problem.
Arsenal player, obviously, contract running down, and he looks as though he's on the verge of signing a pre-contract with Juventus. So that's not a bad move, is it, for Aaron Ramsey, getting a move to Serie A?
Not at all, and on a free transfer, so what Juve will save on transfer fees, Ramsey's going to demand in wages every week, or month, or whatever. So he's going to, Premiership football's have got enough money anyway, but he's going to get a mega deal out there, wages-wise.
Yeah, you would certainly think so. You would have to say his style of play probably suits Juventus quite nicely. It could be quite a nice move, allowing the full-backs to really race up a little bit more. His fellow midfielders can drop a bit deeper. I think he's going to be a really nice addition for Juventus. Whether they need him or not is another matter, of course, but why not? If he's a player that you admire and he's available, you'd be daft to let someone else have him, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I can see both sides of this deal, so to speak. I mean, Ramsey will be on a good wage at Arsenal. You look at his appearance record, 2016-17 season, he only made 23 appearances for Arsenal.
Yeah.
2017-18 season, only 24. So he didn't play a lot of football them 2 seasons. He's actually made 20 appearances already this season.
Yeah.
And he was absolute class yesterday against Chelsea.
Yeah.
But Arsenal must be thinking, I can see both sides of it. Emre, does he fit into his plans? Well, obviously he has done this season, whether that's because of injuries, but you've got somebody like Ozil sitting on the bench on about 300 grand a week, and Ramsey's playing, so, and you look, Ramsey is going to Juve, so Emery's going to have to spend 30 or 40 million to replace him, and he's only 28, so he could have another 3 or 4 years at Juve, and losing him on a free really is ridiculous, but I think at Juve, he'll link up well with Ronaldo and Dybala,
Yeah, well, exactly. That there's always going to be that appeal, having players like that to go and join. I mean, I was just looking when you said about appearances there. Aaron Ramsey joined Arsenal in 2008 from Cardiff. He's made 254 appearances for the club. Now, that's a good amount of appearances, but as you say, that's over 10 years, 11 years.
Yeah.
So that's only an average of 20-odd a season. So that's, on average, far from an ever-present one. So, but like you, I'm surprised that Arsenal sort of didn't fight a little bit harder. I know it was quite possibly the player's decision, to move on to pastures new and all that, and he's certainly got a good offering going to Juventus, but he joins a bit.
But this is a worrying thing with Arsenal. We're letting players' contracts run down, until it's too late. If Aaron Ramsey had been offered another contract by Arsenal, you would have signed it. I can guarantee you that, Yeah. But he hasn't been, and they're letting. I think, was it Sanchez last year went for next to nothing?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And there's been other players as well. They seem to let these contracts run down to too close to their sort of cut-off point, and we end up losing players.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I can't remember the exact figure involved in the Sanchez deal because, of course, they signed Mkhitaryan as well. But apparently that wasn't all part of the same deal. It was just 2 separate deals running concurrently, Yeah, and, I mean, letting contracts run down, you can understand in this climate of football why clubs do that on occasion. There are players who are going to be bringing in big wages and who just don't justify that. But Aaron Ramsey, for all, yes, he has had absences through injury. He's been quite injury prone at times. But when he has played, like you said before, he's always been quality. And I would have thought they would have at the very least renewed his contract with the option of moving on if a big club did come in for him, because at least they would get a transfer fee that way. But
yeah, I think it's obviously been a decision whether it's been made by the manager or by the money men. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's it. Well, he's going to become, if you're looking at statistics for this, the 3rd Welshman to get a move to Serie A. There's only been 2 before him. Ian Rush. Yep. Yeah. And do you know the other one?
For either Old Church or something.
No, John Charles.
No. Charles.
John Charles, both of whom also played for Juventus.
I don't know whether I've Old Church is even Welsh, but I don't know why his name came
Don't know, but it was wrong anyway.
John Charles, yeah.
Both of them also played for Juventus, though John Charles did represent Roma as well. So there you go, the 3rd man in Serie A. I've got a little quiz for you as well. 3 Welshmen.
All right.
Only 3 Welshmen have played in La Liga as well. The first was George Henry Green for Espanyol in 1935. Right?
My goodness.
Yeah. Who were the other 2? Other 2 Welshmen who have played in La Liga.
Oh, man.
I'll let you think about it, but it is one, if you don't get it right, you'll kick yourself. I haven't made it deliberately ridiculous.
Gareth Bale, obviously.
Gareth Bale is one of them, yes. There's one other.
Yeah, Real Madrid. And is the other one before 1940, or?
No. No, it's a lot more recent than that, with an individual until very recently very much involved in football.
Right.
Not going to tell you in what capacity because that'll give too much away. But it is a player you'll have heard of. And
right.
Yes, and if you want a clue, he played for Barcelona in the late 1980s.
Barcelona in the late 1980s.
Yeah.
Whew.
I'll let you think on about that.
You should have asked us this at the beginning of the show.
I should have done, really, shouldn't I? I've not really been totally fair on you there. Not really when we've got a minute
to spare. I'm like my head scrambled.
Now that the episode's winding down, I'm going to leave that one with you. So, well, what we'll do, Dave, we've looked at the Aaron Ramsey situation. We'll have another quick break, and then when we come back, before we say our goodbyes, we'll go through some of the players who've had the best weekend as far as fantasy points go, and we'll get this all finished off. All right, so we'll be right back. And welcome back to the Euro Fantasy League podcast. So, Dave, I've given you a few minutes there while we've been on break. I know it didn't sound like it.
I might know.
I know it didn't sound like it, but I did give you a few minutes, and it sounds as though you may have hit on the answer. Do you want to have a guess?
Dean Saunders.
No, not Dean Saunders. Oh, you let me down, man. I can, if you haven't got it in the next, once we've, by the end of the episode, I'll reel off his other clubs, and then I'll reveal the answer if you still haven't got it. So,
okay.
So yeah, we're just gonna have a quick look now at which players have had the best weekend, basically, in as far as Euro Fantasy points go. So you should be looking at maybe getting some of these guys in to your next team. And also, who's having the best time overall? I mean, Mo Salah, for all I've said a number of times, he's having a quieter season than last time. He's top in the entire game, 106 points. Ahead of Lionel Messi.
Class is permanent.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, form is temporary, class is permanent. Lionel Messi is second on 94. Then you've got Alisson, another Liverpool player. He's third on 85. So, and then Eden Hazard for Chelsea on 78. You've got a couple of Eredivisie and Ligue 1 players in there as well in the mix. So that's the seasonal one. As far as the weekend goes, Duvan Zapata at Atalanta, 18 points. And then you've got Diogo Jota. I knew I was going to say Diego there. Diogo Jota at Wolves. He got 13 points for that hat-trick that we mentioned before. And Santiago Arias at Atletico Madrid, Danilo at Man City, and Gianluca Mancini at Atalanta as well, just to name a few who had particularly good weekends. So if you've got any of them in your team, congratulations, they'll have done a better job than most in that position over this past weekend. So Dave, there you go. I took on the summary as well. So, have you got any more clues about the identity of this Welshman?
Give me some more clues, please.
Right, you want some more clues? What would you like? I'll tell you first off which team he went on loan to. He also had a brief spell on loan at Bayern Munich while he was at Barcelona. What? Yeah. This is one you're going to kick yourself and you're going to think, oh, I totally knew that. Do you want me to list his other clubs as well?
Yes.
Right, Blackburn Rovers, Everton, Southampton, Chelsea and Manchester United. Not in that order. I've mixed that up because that would make it totally
that's fine. A Welshman.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think of a Welsh centre forward who... Oh, yes. The electrician, Sparky.
Sparky, that's the one. I genuinely thought you were going to say Stuart Pearce there. I was going to say, what? Wrong position, wrong Hughes. Nationality. Yeah. Yes, Mark Hughes. And he's the only other Welshman aside from Gareth Bale and George Henry Green. So there you go. Yes, well, there we go, Dave.
I think Dean Saunders did go abroad to play, but
I think without checking it, I will double check it now. Did he play for Galatasaray?
I think he did. I was about to say he went to Turkey to play, didn't he?
Yes, I'm just having a look here. Yes, he did. Galatasaray. And then he also played for Benfica as well in the late 90s. I didn't realise that.
He's gone abroad.
I remember him going to Galatasaray. So there you go then, Dave. So that's a nice little quiz to round things off. And please remember to play the game. That's what we're all here for. EuroFantasyLeague.com. Register your team free of charge. And just take part. It's good fun. And you feel clever when you get one over on your mates, quite frankly. Check out the sister sites fantasy-premier.com, Serie-fantasy.com and Liga-fantasy.com. You can check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at EuroFantasyPod. Dave is on there at Davey Fennick. I'm on there at JamClean1984. You can email us eurofantasypod@gmail.com, and please find the show on your chosen podcast device, your chosen podcatcher, whether it's Apple iTunes, Spotify, Acast, wherever you listen to them, and leave us a rating and review. That would be brilliant. The more ratings and reviews we get, the more people can find us. Makes it easier for them to find us, and then it allows us to to grow basically, and to play the game with more people, frankly. So, Dave, thank you very much for joining me once again for this. This was episode 29, this was. So there you go. Next one's episode 30, so I'll maybe try and get
Happy New Year.
Wow, that was really nice of you, that was. Thanks, nice and prompt. Happy New Year to you too, Dave, and to all of our listeners, of course. I know we messed about a bit, but we do hope you had a good one, and all of that, and may 2019 be a prosperous one. So until next month, we will be back in February with another episode. So until then, take care and thanks again.